Friberg and Mears at least out here.
The clear umbrella? Okay.
Did Mears and Friberg, how much training did they go through, and was Evans out here?
No, Evans was not out here. His shoulder definitely, like we said, popped in, popped out. So he's out for this weekend, and then we've got to see how he is for the next week. He's feeling better today. So hopefully he'll continue to make progress each day. Friberg did what we wanted him to do in training, still doing concussion protocol. Today was the last day of it, so if he has no setbacks today, he'll be full in training tomorrow. And Mears did what we wanted him to do today as well, so if he has no setbacks, then he should, I don't know if he's full in tomorrow, but be a bigger part of training for him tomorrow.
Is Evans just the pain thing that you mentioned, or did the MRI show something?
No, I mean if you've ever had a shoulder, once it pops in and pops out, pops out and then pops in again, it takes a while for the pain to subside and all that, but then the chances of it happening again are definitely increased. But the next time it happens, it's not as bad, because sort of everything's stretched out in there. So I've had a number of guys. Eventually at the end of the day, you got to have surgery on it, but that's not something that you have to do now. So we've had a lot of guys, Brian Schmetzer, both Dave Tenney and Tommy Dutra, Ante Razov, Chris Henderson. They've all had shoulder surgery at some point in their career, but a lot of them were able to wait after their career was over.
What do you think about Real Salt Lake's performance this weekend and El Burrito Martinez being one of the star players from the game?
Well, it was it's a hard game to evaluate simply because, they get a guy thrown out early, then Orlando gets a guy thrown out. Orlando comes back late in the game. Salt Lake had a midweek game, so how much of that impacted it? Obviously Martinez and Mosisian and Plata are a good combination up front. There's a lot of speed there and danger, and Martinez's strength is dribbling, and moving with the ball. So, we'll be ready for that.
Now that you guys have had a couple of competitive games on it, have you gotten any sort of read or consensus on what your guys think of the new turf at CenturyLink?
Well, they're happier with what we had before. Definitely, it's a big improvement. It's a lot easier. Like we said, it's a lot easier on the joints. We already see that on things that we do with them after the game. Certain tests that we give them and so forth. Guys you can tell they're responding quicker after games just because the turf takes less out of them.
On the news release on the signing of Tony Alfaro, I think your quote actually said something about, sort of implied that you expect him to have a productive career, which I don't think you always say. What do you see in him?
I don't know. I think I think technically he's very good. He's definitely MLS level, and it's just a matter of him continuing to improve his defending and continuing. It's a jump, like I said, from Division II up to here is a big jump. Where in Division I maybe you're running into a top forward every second or third game, and in Division II you're maybe seeing one in every 5 games. So now, for him to see a good forward every day, every game, that's just something that you have to acclimate to. But he's a smart kid, he's a hard-working kid, he's a dedicated kid, and he'll be able to deal with that.
Do you expect Lowe's thing to kind of be a go learn and come back, or is it
Lowe
maybe
and
just
Oxford,
gone?
yeah, Lowe and Oxford are both in those situations because Lowe's had a year with S2. We felt him getting another year at a level a little bit higher is good. So with the idea is get better. It'll be something that maybe gets looked at midseason or at their midseason break. With Jimmy Ockford, the last time he went to the Cosmos, he played some games, but he didn't play every game. He was a spot, reserve. He was like one of 3 center backs, and he would play here and there when injuries occurred and so forth. And now the goal is for him to go back and be the starting center back day in, day out. And then we will look at them and we'll come to an evaluation, and that'll predict how things move forward for next year. We felt with Alfaro it was better to keep him here because S2 for him is still a good step. So he's going to probably get a lot of games with S2, and that's a good step for him.
Garth mentioned kind of depth on this team and how when you look past the starting 11, he wants it to get to a point where you can plug anybody into the mix. You don't have to change the game plan at all. Right now, kind of giving the loss of Oba and then with some injuries, do you feel like you're at that point, or do you feel like that's an area that you still need to improve in this season?
Well, I think that obviously that's an area we can get stronger in right now because we lost Oba and obviously Torres is still out injured. But there's definitely guys that we can come to off the bench. Roldan, as an example, it's a lot easier to start than to be a sub. So if you bring in a Kovar or you bring in a Darwin Jones or you bring in an Olex, Dylan Remick, Fisher, I thought had no issues coming in except for the red card. So I think there's already 4 or 5 guys there. Now, it's a matter of how they continue to grow, how they continue to develop. Fisher's a good example. I think he's a bright young player, and by young, it always doesn't mean you're 20 years old. It means you're maybe a little more inexperienced. And so sometimes you live and die with that. And obviously he was great, and then he made a mistake, and it cost us, and we played a man down. But that's something, I'm sure he won't do that again. And that's something you learn with the young players.
Is there any added benefit? Obviously not the result this last week, going down a man, but going now into RSL that they weren't able to see you for a full 90 minutes at full capacity, essentially, that might give you guys an edge, that there's not as much, I guess, film to look at of you guys?
It's an edge that we didn't want to have. So, we'd rather have played a full 11 against KC. But it's a situation. RSL is always a tough opponent. It's a little bit of a rivalry with us and them because we've met them quite a few times in the playoffs as well in years past. So I think it's a good test. They're playing a 4-3-3, somewhat similar to ourselves. So it's going to be a good test that way.
With how bright Fisher was and how well he looked before the red card, and him being able to play on the left side, would there be maybe some kind of competition for the left back with Jovian Jones?
No, Fisher's a much better right back than left back. Yeah. Remick is our option at left back.
With Evans out this weekend, is Zach Scott at least near the top of the list of possible replacements here?
Yeah, when you look at it and you look at the bodies, that probably makes the most sense.
You said that Mears did what you wanted him to do. Do you expect him to be able to be ready for Saturday?
We'll see. He did some stuff on the field, which we wanted, and then he went inside to do some fitness work inside, where we've really laid him low for the last 3 days. So we'll see, again, how he responds from that.